This is usually the best question to start, just so we all understand a little bit about where they all got started with content creation, because just in case you guys don't know, all four of these leaders on LinkedIn, if you like, all create content for LinkedIn, have all been doing it for different periods of time. The fact that they create content on LinkedIn is how we've all met each other. So it's really interesting in that respect. So I'd love to hear from all of you. How did your content creation journey on LinkedIn start?
Yeah, so hi everyone, Amy here. Content for me actually only started at the beginning of this year. So I've been on LinkedIn since about 2011, but I was using it very differently. I was using it through my career as a headhunter and a recruiter. So I was very much behind the scenes when it came to LinkedIn. So I was officially a stalker on LinkedIn and I would find you and I would recruit you. But then in my own business was when I started to really use content. And so I really started probably around January this year. Since using content through LinkedIn, my following grew from 3,000 to over 15,000 now. So it really is true that it does really build that organic reach and it does build your network. So that's really when I got started.
Cool. We're down by one mic. I don't know if the other mic can...
Oh, is it not working?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name's Ahmed Imam. I'm the director of a business called Metropole Property Strategists. I'm a property investment strategist. I am also a property investor. My journey with LinkedIn started about 9 months ago. Like Amy and like Sally, I grew my profile through content creation and targeted content creation. Within 9 months, I built up a following of about 40,000 people. And I'm now the most viewed real estate person on LinkedIn globally, which is incredible.
Wow.
And I say that not to brag, I say that because I'm really nothing special. You know, what we're going to talk about today is just the formula that a lot of us have used to grow our profiles and how that's benefited our business, how that's led to then lead generation, and also benefiting our personal brand. So it's been an incredible journey. There are a lot of tips and tricks that we can pass on. A lot of things that we can teach you today to expedite your journey, so I hope you find it very helpful.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Nathaniel Bibby. When I started on LinkedIn, I was a salesperson trying to get past a gatekeeper to try and target plastic surgeons in Melbourne. They have this thing called a practice manager, which is very well versed in not letting you through the front door or through the access the surgeons through the telephone. So I thought I'd try this thing called LinkedIn. And at the time, you could not post content on LinkedIn. There was only 200 publishers worldwide that could publish articles on LinkedIn, the likes of Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Bill Gates, guys like that. And then LinkedIn one day said, you know what, we're going to start allowing everybody to publish content, and people are just going to decide based on the engagement what's going to get the most popular. So I started publishing articles, and then they said they're going to do short form updates. So I started doing that. So articles were the most effective to start with. Then short form updates. Then when video came out, LinkedIn made it very clear that they were going to push that piece of content. So I've been doing video since then. Riding the wave. I've built my following probably not as fast as some of these guys. It's been very much a slow build, but it's been very targeted because I do lead generation. I do targeted outreach. So most of the people in my network are there by my choice, by decision, because I've been reaching out to them, not just receiving connection requests. So yeah, happy to be here.
Good evening. My name is that working?
Yeah.
My name is Beck Rose. So I am a sports physio by background. So I'm not naturally very great at marketing. So when I quit my job one day and decided to up and start my own business, it was a little challenging, to say the least, at the start to try and build up a bit of a following and get business for myself. So obviously I had to pay the bills, so I had to sort of swallow my pride and find a way that I could start marketing without embarrassing myself. I also have two brothers who like to take the mickey out of me, so I decided to opt for LinkedIn because there was less of a chance that my brothers would see me marketing myself, and it's turned out to be the best thing I ever did. So I've managed to build my entire business now through purely using LinkedIn as my only marketing approach. So I'm probably, I would say, the least experienced out of these guys, but I swear by it, and I use video content creation now probably over the last 3 to 6 months and have managed to build up a bit of a following and probably a few people who don't like me that much as well. But yeah, I swear by it, so that's kind of why I'm here.
I love that.
So I think there's probably a little bit of inspiration there because these four, as well as myself, when we all got started, none of us were content marketing specialists or anything to that effect. So I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of, given you had no experience, so to speak, in creating content from a marketing perspective, when you first began, how did you come up with content ideas, or how do you come up with content ideas now?
So firstly, like many of you had sort of shared with us on the screen before, I was freaking terrified. I did not want to put out any content at first, and I made myself do it, which is, I think, the way that you start is if there's something that's a challenge for you, you make yourself do it until you get good at it. So that was my approach. I started off sharing other people's content first. That was a very safe lane for me, particularly when I was still employed, when I wasn't starting my own business yet. So that was a very safe lane. Then I took to videos, and it took me around 6 hours to do my first video, 3 minutes to film it, and then 5 hours and 57 minutes while I sat there and panicked and didn't want to post it. But I did it, and I think that's what you need to do, is just sort of make yourself do it. So for me, it was a challenge. It's not something that I thought came quite naturally for me. Like, I'm not really a sharer on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. So I just took on the challenge and got better over time.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience, and I think everyone's going to relate to something that we all say here. I was absolutely terrified the first time I did my video, and I wasn't a natural presenter on video at all. So I was trying to record a 30-second video in my car that took me about 50 minutes to do, just because I was self-conscious and I kept watching the video back and I didn't like the way I looked or the way I said something or the way I stuttered or the way I stuttered. And it took me 50 minutes to do, and I was sweating buckets, and then finally decided to proceed. So for me, and we saw a lot of the words that popped up when the topic of video content creation came up, especially video content creation. We all feel awkward about it. We all feel uncomfortable. I don't think there's anyone in this room that would watch a video of themselves and say, well, I love the way I look. Everyone's got a thing. I hate my nose. I hate my chin in videos. I hate the fact I've got grey hair. Nobody likes the way they look. But you just have to do it, and you'll soon realize that nobody actually is as focused about your appearance or your voice as much as you are. What they're focused on is the message. And if you've got a message to deliver, and it's a message that can add value to someone else, you've got the responsibility to do that. And you'll be amazed at how forgiving and supportive LinkedIn, especially as a platform, is. Probably not so much Facebook anymore. But LinkedIn especially, you'll get a lot of support, you'll get a lot of encouragement, and you will actually add value. In terms of content creation ideas, stick to what you know initially. Everybody here has about 2 or 3 topics that they can write down on a piece of paper that they know like the back of their hand, right? It could be something that you speak about with clients every single day. Write those topics down on a piece of paper and dissect them, because everything can be put into a 20 or 30 second or 50-second video that can add value. You might just stick to maybe 1 point per video, whatever it is, but just get started and just get comfortable with it. But know that no one cares about you as much as you do, okay? And just get started.
Thank you. So we're going to go back to the plastic surgeon story. So the conversion rates, just in a nutshell, right? When I contacted 10 surgeons, I got 6 responses, 4 meetings, made 1 sale. Very scalable system. So I could contact 20 surgeons the next week and I end up with 2 sales. The business I was working for, we grew it from 8 employees to 120 within 18 months. It was sold to an ASX listed group. When you grow a business that fast through a lead generation strategy that no one else is using, a lot of people ask you what you are doing. And one of the parties that asked me was the Digital Marketing Institute, and they asked me to create a LinkedIn training course. So my business is LinkedIn training and LinkedIn marketing, so it's quite relevant for the platform. So I've never had a challenge coming up with content ideas because I've always been asked loads and loads of questions by my clients. So how does that? What advice can I give to you guys? Is really focus on the people that you serve and the questions that they're asking you and the problems that they have, and create content that solves that. I think that's the most effective way to go about it, and that way you are serving your target audience, not just creating content for whoever wants to consume it without having some business outcomes associated to it.
I think my main advice when it comes to content creation is similar to what I would say to my physio patients, which is always start really small with things that you feel comfortable with, and then when the pain decreases, like gradually build your way up. So I think I started with like scientific facts because that's what my specialty is, and I felt like surely if it's science, people won't kind of abuse me and tell me that I'm wrong, and that's not necessarily the case because some people don't believe it's science. But I did feel like that was a nice way to sort of feel comfortable with the platform, and then as my ability to sort of engage with the audience grew, I started to then write things myself, and then eventually moved on to the video content stuff, which now feels, like Sally said, totally fine for me. So I think it's just a matter of putting yourself, as Brené Brown says, out into the arena and not worrying about what all the critics think. And if they're out on LinkedIn kind of sledging you, then they're probably not people that you really care about their opinion anyway, I think.
Can I just ask you on that note, it feels like you've probably had a lot of criticism.
Yes.
I know myself as well. I think it's a blonde hair thing. Something happens. People are like, they're not supposed to be smart, right? So I'd love to hear from you. When you started putting content out, what were some of the things that you had sort of thrown at you, be it about age, gender, all sorts of stuff, people questioning your credibility. And then I'd love to hear from you guys on the same, because I know everyone's had experience with trolls before, and I'm sure someone else will be able to explain what a troll is better than myself. But yeah, what happened when people started criticising you, and then how did you deal with that internally to overcome it so you didn't stop producing content on LinkedIn?
I'm probably making it sound slightly worse than it was. I'm just a very sensitive human being, so I get really affected by it. But I've had several comments, like I think you've mentioned, Sally, similar things, but people telling me that my voice is annoying. I do have a cold at the moment, so I normally am not this annoying, but I do have like a slightly chipmunky kind of voice, I think. So, people are like, your voice is so fake and annoying. And I'm like, oh, I mean, that really hurts and is not necessary. I'm just out there trying to spread information about wellness. And, people questioning things, like I recently put a post up about drinking. I had a lot of inboxes from people being like, if you've got an alcohol problem, you should contact a professional. And I was like, I said I used to have one drink, and I was like, it's not, I'm fine. So I think the important thing is to remember, stay true to yourself. And I always think there's this really great interview with Ricky Gervais, and he talks about how he was walking down the street and a homeless person is like in a bin covered in their own SHIT, and they yelled out at him, "You C word." He's like, would I take that seriously, or would I probably just laugh, not think about it again for the rest of the day and walk off? And I think the people that like troll you on these mediums are probably kind of like a man in a bin on the street. So. But it's true. Like, if you're on a professional medium and you're having a go at someone for their voice, I don't care.
I had lots of experiences, of course. And I think that it's good it's good to get negative comments if there's like some explanation and you can learn from it and make your content better. But if there's no learning there, then I just don't see why it needs any attention whatsoever, and just keep moving on. It's going to happen when you get popular, and it is a big reason why people will bottleneck at a certain level, because they don't like the negative criticism that comes with being popular and having a lot of people look at your shit. But like, it does happen. And if you look at like anybody that's popular on YouTube, whether it be Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk or Donald Trump's probably a bad example, but look through the comments. There's way more negativity than there is positivity. It's just the way it is. So you've got to be prepared for that. And if there's no value in what they're saying, then just ignore it.
I love this topic, by the way. About a month ago, I actually had someone direct message me saying, "Hi, Ahmed, I noticed a mistake on your profile. Your sideburns are uneven." So like Nathaniel said, sometimes it's going to be constructive, sometimes not so much. If it's feedback that I can take on board and then work to improve on myself, I'll 100% take it on board and I'll welcome that. If it's feedback that is just simply toxic, then I don't need to give that time. I'll either ignore that comment or I'll just respond with something as simple as "appreciate your feedback" and move on. And I don't give that any more time. But does everyone know what a troll is? Yeah? No?
No.
A troll is pretty much someone that goes out... So who asked the question? Okay. A troll is pretty much someone that goes out of their way to say disparaging comments. And it's almost become a bit of a culture, to try and get a bit of a rise out of you and have you respond. And all of a sudden you're in a dialogue with them about something that's completely irrelevant. And it's become pretty big on other platforms like Facebooks and Instagrams, not so much LinkedIn. But yet, when you do get a lot of attention or a lot of engagement, there's of course going to be one or two people that will disagree with you, and a few that just want to get a bit of a rise out of you. So, how much attention you want to give is completely up to you.
So for me, I haven't had too many bad experiences, less so than what I actually thought when I was first putting out content. However, I've got millennial in my headline and most people get offended just by that, which is quite interesting. So anytime I mention the word millennial in any of my content, someone's always got an opinion about millennials. But I don't mind that because it sparks engagement, it sparks conversation. So I don't mind unless, it is a blatant personal attack on someone or something, but I don't mind everyone putting forward their opinions and sort of creating that discussion. And I want it to be, when I'm thinking of putting out content, I'm thinking about the people that are reading the content in my network and consuming it. I want it to be a good experience for them as well. So I have no issues in going in and just deleting or blocking people that are just being blatantly rude or just over the top. That's just the way I deal with it. Because I want to make sure that when people are sort of viewing the content, if people have got all different opinions, that's great. But I want people to be able to express that and be comfortable enough to sort of share that without someone, coming over the top of them. And the other experience, I guess I didn't really expect putting out content on LinkedIn is I had a few marriage proposals, so I archived those ones and turned them down.